Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you today? This beautiful day. What is it? The 28th of April. Can you believe how fast this year is going? It's just wonderful. Good morning, Pete. Good morning, Sue. So wonderful to be with you. With all of our technical glitches this week, I have to ask, can you hear me okay? Is the camera up the right way? Oh, I'm sorry about that, but I just want to be able to know that we can communicate really well. Hi, Sam. Hi, Isaac. Thank you for joining with us this morning as you make your way back to schools. Laura did just a brilliant job just honouring you guys and praying for all of our teachers. Sue, we think of you as well. And so many of our family are actually involved in education. So God bless you. Thank you as you head back into school term 2. Who knows what that's going to look like and where we're going. But did you see the sky this morning? Sharon, did you get a chance to see the sunrise this morning? Oh, it was just beautiful. If my brother Lawrence is online, mate, we were talking about the sunrise this morning and I said, look out for it. It was an absolute cracker. God painted the sky just for you, Lawrence. So that's kind of cool, huh? God painted the sky just for me. God painted the sky just for you, Tim. And so Emily's back at school. Are you back at school, Em? I don't know. I can't keep up with where you're at the moment. So sorry. But if you're teaching today, you're in a classroom, be it online, in the home, then bless you today as you're crafting young minds and sculpting young hearts and filling them with the joy of learning, not just the content of learning. So, hey, thank you for that. All right, where are we at? So we are in part 2 of winning over worry. So I just really felt that the Lord was going to ask us to look at worry this week. I want to give you something this morning to declare. Hopefully there's something in that declaration, something to declare you can share, but then also something you can action personally and you can actually take to the Lord and you can share and do with other people in your world. The first thing I'd love you to be able to start writing up is, Jesus is my number one fan. That's a good thought to start the day with, don't you think? Jesus is my number one fan. It comes out of this, Jesus thinks well of me. I'm approved by God. But why don't you begin to start writing that up at the beginning of your day? Jesus is my number one fan. You'll figure out where I'm going with this when I share a little bit further on in worry. But I want to say right from the outset, I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm just a believer, and I think it's taken the next step for me, certainly even more recently, than just being a believer. I've actually become a receiver, and a receiver of God's love for me. That has been so transformational. He chose me, he set his affections and his love upon me, and then I had to choose to receive that or block it or dodge it or excuse it and say, no, it's obviously got to be for somebody else. So believer and receiver, that's my sort of my gift to you as an encourager, not as a counselor, not as a psychiatrist. We're talking about the fact that you don't need to believe in order to belong. You have a place, you have a value, you have an acceptance that transcends actual theology or where you are on the faith continuum. Please know that you are here for a reason, joining us online, whether it's right here, right now, live time on YouTube, later on in the day. You are here for a reason, and we keep saying that you are made on purpose, with a purpose. And the reason why we're looking at worry is because worry is trying to knock that purpose around a little bit, trying to steal some of the joy, blunt the edge down so that it doesn't actually, isn't as sharp and as fragrant as his life in us actually wants to be and can be. So we're looking at this concept of worry. There's a difference, as we note, between worry and anxiety. Anxiety tends to have a much more of a physical impact. The genesis, the origins of where our mind goes is often the same, but but anxiety starts becoming this giant who wants to absolutely eat our lunch, and it changes our cardiovascular system, it changes our blood pressure, and it is often much more irrational and harder to find a way out of. And I'd love to be able to suggest to you today, because I'm not trying to take on anxiety in 10 minutes every morning. If you are feeling that physical transformation, when worry starts to consume you and it really moves you into a much darker place, please reach out for help. Find us at info@abundant.org. Send us a message here. We are here for you. We can line up some other conversations, some other prayers, and some other people that will be able to help you. But this morning we're talking about worry. We looked at yesterday, and I'd like to just dive through it again. It's one of my favourite verses. It's Song of Songs 2 verse 15. You can find this on our Bible app, on the Bible on our app, and you can read that in a whole bunch of different translations. But the Passion says this: you must, and this is a thing that's important, you must. He chose us, and then he gives us choice. But in this, he's saying this is really, really important for us. You must catch the troubling foxes, those sly little foxes, not the lions, not the giants, the sly little troubling foxes that hinder our relationship. We spoke yesterday, Jesus wants to do everything from relationship, for relationship, and he's saying to you, don't worry, not because you disappoint me, but don't worry because it actually gets in the way of our relationship, and all of a sudden we're distracted and we're dislocated as opposed to flowing in all that he has for us. So he's actually saying, catch for us these little sly foxes that hinder our relationships. And he says this is the reason: for they are raiding our budding vineyard of love, which I've planted within you. So he's saying that what I've planted in you is budding. There is good things he sees in you in and out of season. He sees it happening and coming to the surface. It's about ready to burst forth. It's a prophetic voice for you over your day going, you know what, you're not a million miles away from it. You're not in the dead of winter where everything is dying and brittle. But he's saying, no, you are a vineyard that I started in you. It's budding, but these little foxes, these little worries are getting in the way of that. And in fact, they're knocking the fruit off before they actually, one, become fragrant, and two, they actually become fruit, which is capable of bearing more fruit. He says, will you catch them and remove them for me? We'll do it together. We'll do it together. Oh, that just makes my heart so happy to think that my Father, who chose me, who loves me, who sees that I've probably let some of those little foxes, those little worries in and around my mind, he's going, I'm going to do that with you. So, we've started saying, you know what, Jesus is my number one fan. If you haven't had a chance to put that up there, why don't you bang that in there? You can also put this up if you want. He began a good work in me. Jesus began a good work in me. Why don't we declare that to one another? Why don't you speak that over your own soul this morning? He began the good work in me. It's a declaration of who he is, who we are, that the work is good, that it's beginning, it's not fully realized yet. We get all that. He began a good work in me. Why don't you write that up? What I want to do is just in a few minutes sort of share now practically in around what worry looks like a little bit, because he's saying, I want you to catch these thoughts. And one of the thoughts that, as I was preparing for this, and I'm navigating this COVID-19 season, family at home and changed work experiences, obviously looking at a changed physical environment as it begins to get colder and darker and all that sort of stuff, I have to come and keep doing soul work. I have to do soul care on myself. And I guess one of the areas that I continually look at, one of the great shadows in my soul, one of the areas that probably leads me into a darker place, a drier place, that tends me to lead me out of a flow and this relationship with Jesus, is that I actually worry about what people are thinking about me. Now, I know I'm the only person on the planet who has that problem, right? That I worry about what people are thinking about me. And it's not just totally narcissistic. It's not just completely selfish. Because I'm a communicator and because I carry that Father's heart, I want to know that what is being shared and what is being opened up and what is people are invited into, that they can accept that they can receive that the seed is going into the soil and not just finding its way onto paths or being thrown up into the air to be blown away. And so I worry about that, and am I doing okay, and is this being communicated? And so in a Facebook world where there's love hearts and all these sort of things and how many views and blah 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 blah, I'm constantly having to tend my soul to go, no, he began the good work in me, he is my number one fan. It doesn't matter how many thumbs up, love hearts, and yeah, they're great, but they shouldn't actually impact me and actually determine my value, my approval, my acceptance, my place at his table in the way that worry wants it to. I hope you're actually receiving something out of this. In the day of Zoom meetings or these sort of transactions, I can't pick up your body language. We can't get the reads. And it's been said, and I think some of the studies which will come out of these online experiences is these are incredibly draining because we don't get the backwards and forwards of, are you okay? Is you receiving this? Yes, I'm understanding it. Some of the little nuances of body language, all those sorts of things we just don't get. I just can't see how you're receiving this right now. And so when I say I worry, it's actually an area that goes, I'm concerned with, but if I allow that worry to move into the rest of my day, into my sense of value, into my prayer life, or indeed what I'm actually fishing for with other people, please understand, I'm not fishing for your love this morning. Bring it on, it's all good, but I'm learning that worry takes me away from his love. He is the only one that I need in this world. I don't mean to be diminishing of other people. He knows how much I need him, so he gave me my wife. He knows how much I need him, so he gave me this church, right? But if I look to the church, if I look to my wife to be him, then it's all out of kilter. I don't know if this is making any sense. I'm going to really bring this to a fine edge. And it says here, worry is the place that we tend to trust God the least. Am I doing okay? I'm actually not trusting God. I'm actually trusting likes or views or my own renderings of, yeah, I did that well, I didn't do that well, it went a bit too long, it was a bit sloppy here, it didn't quite work. All right? So the area of worry tends to breed in the areas that I trust God the least, and then I actually move into sin. What did I wrote something here that was really, really good. It talks about self-righteousness and self-sufficiency. Now, we talk about self-care. Self-care is smart, and soul care is important. But self-righteousness and self-sufficiency, that's stupid, because I totally rely on God. So worry is the place I tend to trust God the least. The good news is that when you find yourself worrying, God's not coming to smack you, he's coming to realign you. That when I go, oh my gosh, I'm focusing on this, I'm focusing on that, and I'm just looking at the little foxes running around knocking off the fruit, right? He goes, catch them, I'm going to do it with you. Bring this back into alignment with me. That's some good news. So look, my time is done. I want to, hopefully you've had a chance to say, Jesus is my number one fan. He's begun a good work in me. He has begun a good work in me. So let's take some action points. The thing I have to do this morning, and this is going to sound contradictory, but I'm sharing the word, is that I confess those areas of self-sufficiency. I confess them to the Lord, not to Facebook. Now, I'm sharing this with you, so this is cathartic for me as well, but I just get to be here. But let's not put all of our confessions out on Facebook and neglect going, Lord, I've tried to rely on my own strength and not yours. Father, I've been caught up in all of this other stuff. Would you help me? Bring him into the process. Bring him into the journey. Bring him into the moment, because he actually wants this as much as you want, if not even more. Confess to Jesus, not to Facebook. Move towards him. You can agree with the prayer that I'm about to pray. You can put your own prayers up on our Bible app, and there are people on our Bible app, our phone app, that people would love to be able to pray with you with. And then in that prayer time, why don't you start asking him, God, show me worry. Show me worry. It's like a bat. It's like a rat. And sometimes worry, different to anxiety, can actually be shooed away. Go, get out of here. I don't choose to believe you. I choose to receive something different from God. Again, not trying to diminish worry down. It is a little fox, it needs to be caught, but also not trying to blow it up into being anxiety. So move towards him with your prayers. Move towards him with actually finding some Bible verses that will really speak to you, that you can chew on today like meat, and it will be protein for your spirit. And if you don't know what Bible verses that would actually really help you in times of worry, one, type in Google, good Bible verses for when I'm worried. You'll find a million. Or find us at Info at Abundant, find us on Facebook, and we would love to begin a personal conversation with you and some time to pray with you, because we've got people who would love to pray with you about this area. You can also find our Spotify and our YouTube playlist. I'll whack the link in again in the comments later on. But you know what? Worship is brilliant for worry. Singing is like it's like Sard's Wonder Stick for your soul. You know, it gets the stains out. You know, so if you're worried, when we turn our affection and our face to Jesus, the old chorus said, "Turn your eyes upon Jesus and and turn your face towards Him, and the things on earth will grow strangely dim." Finally, before I pray, do something for somebody else. If you're worried about yourself, then go and do something for somebody else. Say, "Hi, how are you doing?" Make somebody a cake. Invite somebody to these devotions, our online communion tonight. We've got, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten who's actually on tonight. It's either Beck or Catherine is on tonight, and it's going to be just incredible. And so invite someone into that space, put your eyes upon somebody else, and there's actually quite a good chance that our own personal reflections won't be quite as significant. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you that you have destined us to win over worry. I thank you that you're our number one fan, that you began a good work in us and you can continue that work. I thank you that we can come and bring those areas of self-sufficiency and self-righteousness to you, and we lay them at your feet, Father, and say, I don't want to live by what other people say about me, think about me. I live by what you say about me, by what you think about me, and that is always good. Papa, when I come to you and in worry and strife, tripping over these foxes, the disappointment or dismay or self-judgment, Father, I ask that you would help me realign my thoughts to you. You would actually bring my spirit, my soul, and my face back into focus with you, Father, because you think great thoughts about me. You have made us on purpose, for a purpose, and I thank you so much for that. Would you bless my brothers and sisters today? Would you give them the courage to reach out if worry is turning into anxiety? But would you stamp upon them again their authority to deal with this worry? In your name, Lord Jesus, that they would be lights, that they would be salt, that they would be songs for your name's sake. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Hey, guys, thank you for the extra time this morning. Catherine is on. Thank you, Isaac. Catherine Smith is going to bring us communion tonight. So excited about that. Wednesday night, Karen and I are online doing a live Q&A. So why don't you join us on that? Send us some questions. Do some in advance if you'd like. You can find us online. We're just going to sit together, share a little, share our heart, and just spend some time with you guys. But why don't you invite someone to communion tonight? Share this message. Someone in your world, I think, needs to hear it. And then just go and love somebody. Love you heaps. Bye.